while we have the technical difficulties, I'm going to switch back to what I was doing before and read comments. So Stephen Glenn has a very self-serving comment. The reason MegaCam does so well in archival papers is that it has an excellent archive. Thank you, Stephen. And then Trent Dupuy, no WeirCam LPs is presumably due to the fact that an IR imager is the hardest to come up with a large amounts of time. Gemini large and long programs, which would open up a chance to do things like his science, long-term monitoring. Has that ever been considered for CFHT LPs? So while we, oh, sorry, Trent, you're gonna have to wait. That's a cliffhanger for Trent Dupuy, because I'm going to start talking. So my name is Mary Beth Laychak. I'm the Director of Strategic Communication at the Canada, France, Hawaii Telescope. And so what does that mean? So this is a new title since the 2019 users meeting. So it depends, are you a student or are you an adult? If you are a student, I tell people, kids, that I explain astronomy to people. We talk about what the word strategic means. They get a little vocabulary lesson. Okay. For an adult, i.e. all of you, my job is to explain astronomy to people. I work on shared Mauna Kea observatory efforts, of which we do more and more over the past 7 or 8 years. I manage not only the CFHT social media, but the general Mauna Kea observatory social media. I work on broader community issues, the Hawaii situation, as it's often called. And then, as was alluded to, we have been in discussions about a master lease. Well, I have some information about that Andy mentioned. But a large part of the work that I've done in the past year has been on a community kuleana or responsibility package that we will see how that slides into any new management structure. So these are the current initiatives, a non-comprehensive list of them. Anything that is in yellow really took a hit with COVID. Summit tours is not going to be a surprise. I can't take people up to the summit if we have a COVID situation. Portable planetarium visits, that's going to be a wow, guys. On the bright side, in green, you see new initiatives that started during that time period. I think I can summarize that with, I made so many videos over the past 2 or 3 years. So in Canada, one of the driving initiatives that we've done over the past couple years was to partner with the Dunlap Institute and Discover the Universe. When there was an annular eclipse going through the northern part of Canada, we partnered with them to create a series of videos that told ancestral knowledge star myths concerning lunar eclipses. Lori Rousseau-Neptune selected 2. One from her culture, her First Nations culture, and another from another culture through the area that the eclipse passed through. We translated them into 8 indigenous languages, which was a total of 20 videos, because we subtitled them all with Lori in English, 8 videos, Lori in French in 8 videos. And then we also did an additional 2 videos with a complimentary Hawaiian story about eclipses and a First Nation story about eclipses. France, help. I am in France. Help me help you. Help us all love CFHT. So a lot of the work that we have done over the past several years in France has been these large projects, film projects. I am looking for anybody in France who would like to do outreach with me. Email me, see me during a PowerPoint break, come talk to me in general, Slack me. I am interested in knowing how we can work with the French community to better our efforts in France. So this is, I said, connecting with the community. This community also is all of you. So I make this slide. If you've been to any users meeting, any meeting I've ever been at, this slide does not change. Come on, guys. You have stuff you want to share. I think oftentimes PIs get bogged down in the fact that if it needs to be press release, it has to be a Nature paper. And that's great for Nature, not for me. For our social media, we want to highlight graduate students. I want to highlight early career PIs. If you have published a paper, you're on TV, you're a grad student. We've been having a grad student of the month feature for the past about 1.5 years now. So any grad students who'd like to be featured in that, please let me know. We are on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we also have a YouTube and Vimeo channel for all of those videos of me. Again, this is our social media. Many of you follow us on Twitter. That's where we connect with most of our PIs. Instagram tends to be a lot of very pretty pictures in the general public. Facebook is an interesting mix of the two. And our YouTube video launched maybe about 6 months or a year ago. We have not a ton of subscribers, but we get a fair number of views depending on the video that we make. So this is the efforts that I have in Hawaii. Again, yellow is things that we have put on hiatus, but I'm just going to explain a little bit of them. So the Kama'aina Observatory's experience was launched in 2016. It's an inter-observatory program where 2 facilities a month are open to the general public. We have a reservation, so people make a reservation with the Imiloa Astronomy Center. We then, they go to the visitor information station, they acclimatize, they hear a talk on Hawaiian culture and the importance of Mauna Kea. They hear the geology and science of the Mauna that's not related to astronomy, and then we go up and tour 2 facilities. That has been on hiatus since 2019. Protests followed by COVID. We are looking to relaunch that program probably this fall. We are slowly coming back to festivals and events. I'm actually going to be missing Astro Day. We've ported a lot of those events to virtual or self-guided. So our annual solar system walk and a Hawaii science walk were both reimagined in a self-guided way where people could walk down a path in Waimea and do it at their own pace with all of those videos that we talked about. For the solar system walk, the content was in both English and Olelo Hawaii, which is the native Hawaiian language. I'd like to highlight MKO at Home, which is a collaborative effort across all of the observatories that we started during COVID. We made about 65 videos over the course of that time. It's on the Mauna Kea Observatory's YouTube channel. Keiki Heroes was a project that I was heavily involved with. It took us outside of our traditional outreach confines, in which we worked with public health experts and the local school and community to provide keiki-centric, locally relevant material about COVID for children. So vaccination information, we got started at the very beginning on how to keep yourself safe, when to wash your hands, how to be a keiki hero. So these were all things that really took us outside of our traditional outreach, and I made a lot of really great contacts in a broader educational community. And then the Kama'aina Connections program. This is a program, it's another inter-observatory program. This one was launched by Rich Matsuda at the Keck Observatory. And in Hawaii, Kama'aina are people of the land. They are residents who are generally born and raised there. And so what we wanted to do with this program was to take the Kama'aina from across the observatories and bring them together in cohorts to listen to concerns, have them bond and create an empowerment to be more willing and more comfortable having difficult conversations. So from CFHT, Kevin Ho and Carolyn Castaneda were in the most recent cohort. The first cohort, Ivan Look and Rayson Wong participated. If you have questions about KCP, I'm certain Kevin would be happy to answer them during the coffee break or on Slack. So Mauna Kea Scholars, this is a program that I have run, and I have run since the 2015-2016 school year. Simply put, it is a program where Hawaii public high school students can apply for observing time on the Mauna Kea observatories for their own independent research projects. You can see Nadine's poster, which gives an overview of Mauna Kea Scholars. She was kind to make a poster, so I didn't have to go into incredible detail. You can see Bronson Bolo's poster. So Bronson is a 13-year-old from Lanai Intermediate and High School who is using Esperon data to look at a very interesting black hole binary system. And he has a poster and will be in tomorrow's lightning round. And you can look at Heather Flewelling's papers. Heather is one of our resident astronomers, and she has created 2 really fantastic image and spectral plotting and display systems for students to use. Heather took the work of a graduate student intern that I had last summer for Esperons and really made it work exceptionally well. So these are the Mauna Kea Scholars students that I worked with. This is this year's cohort. COVID has not been particularly kind again to the program, simply because school has been a bit of a mess in terms of teachers are teaching different classes, and we're not able to do it in the traditional way that I've done thus far. These are the 5 schools that have been awarded telescope time this year. We will have a 6th school when I get back, Kealakehi Intermediate School. Thank you. What I want to highlight here is the bottom left. You will see, well, that's the picture with the girl in the O pants, that's Oregon. That is Lanai High School. So this is the very first time that Lanai High School has been a part of Mauna Kea Scholars in terms of receiving telescope time. I've actually worked with them for several years. We also have Molokai High School in the upper left, Kapolei, Waipahu, and Waiakea. So what happens next? The next few years are a critical time for CFHT and MSC. Andy mentioned HB 2024. This is the bill that he mentioned to change management of Mauna Kea from the University of Hawaii to a separate entity. That bill has been passed by both houses of the Hawaii legislature. It will go to the governor for either veto or to be signed. If it is vetoed by Governor Ige, and I have no idea what direction he's going to go, that veto occurs, then the House and the Senate can go back into session and can pass the bill overriding his veto. So that will have critical implications on the work that I do, the work that we all do. As I mentioned, I've spent a better part of the past year working on a community benefits program that was built basically agnostic to who was going to be managing the Mauna. What we will need to do, and I have a meeting, I think next week, is to figure out how we make that plan available to whatever entity ends up managing the mountain. And so much of the work that I do in the future that we have for CFHT and specifically for MSC is working with our community in Hawaii and across the partnership in a variety of ways. Working with people outside of a traditional confines of outreach and education. Generally, when people think of outreach, they think of classroom visits, and we do a lot of classroom visits. I've done the bulk of them over the past couple of years, simply because I have a good relationship with teachers, and even during COVID, I was allowed in the classroom when many other people weren't. I serve on 3 school and community councils. And what we need to do across Hawaii is to make sure that more of our staff are involved in less traditional ways, but ways that they find interesting and empowering. Not everybody has the joy of talking to a kindergartner that I do, but everybody has something that they are interested in, and how we can work and build deeper and stronger connections in our community is a critical part of my job and the work that we'll be doing the next several years. So if you don't follow us on social media, you really should. I put a lot of effort into that. And I have to give a special shout out to Callie Crowder, one of our former remote observers, who over the past 2.5 years really implemented our strategic social media vision for CFHT. We would meet monthly, and she would actually go and do all of the posting. So if you've noticed a slight drop off since January, that's because I now have to post myself. And so I miss Callie a great deal. And so that is the end of my presentation. I think I saved time for questions.
Thank you, Mary Beth. We have time for one question, if there is any. Yes, Jean-Charles.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
I was wondering, I keep having a kick every year out of making this calendar with Roberta and Giovanni, and the agencies make use of it. Is it, it's been 22 years. It's still fun, but is it still useful to you for all this?
Yes. The calendar, I mean, let's be honest, we don't really sell them. We might sell maybe 5 or 6 a year. I liberally give them away. 5 or 6 is an exaggeration. We mail them to PIs, both in Canada and France, and then I very liberally give them away. So at Astor Day that I'll be missing next week, the example that we have, the demonstration is make your own Galaxy mobile. So we're taking all of the years of back calendars and giving them for free for people to look at the images and then create their own mobile that they hang in their homes. Every single school in North Hawaii has one in their classrooms. I give extra calendars to teachers at the end of the year. So as long as you want to keep making them, Jean-Charles, I will keep giving them out for free. And people absolutely love them. So thank you. No. They're treasured. People are very excited when they get them.
Thank you, Mary Beth, and thank you, Jean-Charles, for the calendars. We're going to move on to Stephen Gwynn, who's online, I hope. Let's thank Mary Beth again, though.
Stephen's online, yeah.